About 19 years ago, I reached one of those threshold moments in my life. I'd been playing tabletop RPGs since I was a teenager, and I really loved thinking about role-playing, reading games, prepping and running sessions, and on occasion actually getting to be running a player character. But the arrival of my first child made me think I might not be able to continue with my hobby. Between the demands of work, the time and effort of being a father, and the importance of also spending time with my spouse, I just didn't see how I could regularly game that much. My old gaming group was disintegrating for various reasons. It just felt like maybe it was time to pack it all up. I'll note here that this sentiment, that finding the time to play tabletop RPGs, the difficulty of finding a group that will meet consistently, it's a refrain that's been with us for ages. You see it all the time in the RPG subreddit, for example. It's such a common refrain that it's a trope at this point. The world we live in is busy. Between work, family, the family you're born into, the family you find, whatever, and other obligations, not many people have a lot of free time. The only people who I know who don't feel especially harried all the time are retirees. And even many of them report that they're far busier than they thought they would be. So getting back to that moment 19 years ago, I took an inventory of how I spent my time, and I realized a few things. First, our time is finite. We've only got so much of it, all of us, in a given day, in a given week, in a given life. And only so much of that time is really, truly under our control. Second, no matter how busy, no matter how many responsibilities, no matter how many things we have to do that are not under our control, there's always some amount of time that is under our control. I can't make more of it, but I can decide how to use that time that I do have control over. The third thing I notice is that when I say to myself, I don't have the time, that's usually a self-deception. The truth of it is, it's not that I don't have the time, it's that I don't want to give something else up in order to spend time on this new thing. Americans in particular are acculturated to want to do all the things. I'm supposed to want endless variety, endless choice, and endless convenience, all without compromise. Want a donut and a croissant? Have a cronut. Want to feel comfortable and look dapper? Wear a leisure suit. To decide, that is, to murder the alternatives, is uncomfortable. But I realized that if I want to play tabletop RPGs, I needed to make room in that pool of leisure time I did control. I needed to get rid of something else in order to make room for tabletop role-playing, to make room for it in a way that would allow me to really enjoy that time that I was spending with it. NFL football had dominated my Sundays for decades. I wasn't a super fan, but my default condition on a Sunday afternoon was sitting in front of a screen watching football. Even when I recorded the games and skipped through the commercials. Remember TiVo? Anybody? I spent a lot of time consuming, watching what other people were doing, and not absorbing anything that could really inform any of my own activities. So after some reflection, I made a clean break from football watching. I'm not saying that watching football is objectively a waste of time or a bad thing. And I still think watching football is fun. I'm not the kind of person who breaks my life into 15-minute segments and ruthlessly optimizes how I spend them. And I still spend plenty of time doing aimless stuff that doesn't provide any value. I just needed to prioritize, even at a gross, very high level, where I put my attention. I then redoubled my efforts to find a gaming group in my area. I found a group, and one of the first things we talked about was how important gaming was to us. Some of us were single, some of us were married with kids, but we all had busy lives. And we were all committed to reserving Friday nights for role-playing, with the understanding that, of course, sometimes things inevitably come up. But the default mode is that Friday is game night. These folks had all decided it was a priority for them just as much as it was for me. The group composition has changed, but the core of the three of us has remained for almost 20 years now. We played short campaigns, long campaigns, one-offs, games ranging from Fate Accelerated to Lex Arcana, Outgun to Genesis. We've become fast friends, and we've helped each other through difficult times and shared in life successes. It's pretty amazing. Now, none of this is a given. I'm not saying that if you make time for tabletop role-playing, you're fated to find a group that you're going to be with for 2 decades. I got very lucky. But I also believe that I was able to find this group because I walled off time. I protected a creative social endeavor, playing tabletop role-playing games, that is special to me. I did it not because it produces anything of intrinsic value to anyone else, or because anyone other than the handful of people at my gaming table really care. I did it because I enjoy taking that journey, and I savor the destinations it helps me reach. It's worth foregoing other activities in order to play tabletop role-playing games. Now, managing my attention every day, every week is still a challenge. The demands of work, the shuttling of teenagers from one activity to another, all the obligations of life, all the demands on my attention are still there. But when I burned my ships by intentionally, deliberately removing another leisure activity, it really did help me feel more in control of my time, and it led to something special. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen for everybody, but I am saying that for me, that act of saying tabletop role-playing is this important to me, I'm going to make time for it. I'm going to give it the respect it deserves. I'm not going to treat it as something that I can either do or not do. I'm going to make it a priority. That has really been very, very beneficial to me. Now, one last note. I highly recommend the book 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. It's not at all what you would expect from the title. It's humorous, it's insightful. Highly recommend it. And as always, thank you for watching. If you want to discuss this video or related topics, please join the Setting First Discord. The link is in the notes.